victims around the world. Let's always remember them in our thoughts and prayers. Their efforts abroad and our support has kept America strong. This message is courtesy of your good friends at Tune Time Stereo and Alarm at 1000 New York Street in Redlands. They are always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction. Attention all business owners, join C's Candies, Big Lots, Dollar Tree, and the Spunky Steer at the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. Availability is now open for restaurants, retail, and more. Located between Alabama and the Tennessee exits where the 10 and the 210 meet, your company can be a part of over 60 retail shops, restaurants, and local businesses. The Tri-City Shopping Center is zoned for multi-use, so call today and schedule an appointment. Ask for Chris Beauchamp or John Jennings, 951-684-4400. The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. The mall with a heart.
You've tuned in to KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Greetings, this is Empire Talks Back. Brought to you by West Side Story Newspaper, the soul of the Empire, and the Improved Association, Questing for Solutions. Also brought to you by Covered California. Now, there's been a lot of news about healthcare lately. Here's more. It's open enrollment. Covered California is here to help find a health plan that's right for you. Visit coveredcalifornia.com today. I'm Wallace Allen, your host. We'll be back right after this short break.
Falling down the stairs and breaking your ankle doesn't sound good. But falling down the stairs and breaking your ankle with no health insurance sounds even worse. Life can change in an instant. Be covered when it does. At Covered California, we can help you get financial help to pay for your health plan. Covered California. It's more than just health care. It's life care. Visit coveredca.com today. Open enrollment ends January 31st.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
We got a thing going on.
This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. You wouldn't know how excited I am today by the music that Carlos chose to play immediately, but he's trying to calm me down so that I could sneak up on you and let you know that I am indeed a stable genius. I know some of you guys worry about my stability. I've heard about it. I've heard you talking in the corners. I've even had people call and report on you. The only thing unstable about me today is the fact that Miss Tammy Martin-Riles is not going to be with us. She is having a retreat with the Black Business Chamber of the Inland Empire. Don't tell her I said it right. You know, let's keep her in mystery, but Black Chamber of Commerce of the Inland Empire is having a retreat. But while they're having a retreat, we are having a first treat. We really are blessed here in the Inland Empire. At one point, and I can't name them all for you, but we had over 50 people who had earned golden records here in the Inland Empire alone. And all 50 of those people probably have not had the impact of one person that we lost this past week, Miss Frances Grice. She was a soldier, a field marshal, a president, a person who did not acknowledge walls or doors or barriers that keep people apart or from making progress. There is a building still in the city of San Bernardino, a brick and mortar, that is a symbol of her greatness, but nothing at all that's left here except the people whose lives she's influenced can demonstrate the real impact of a Miss Frances Grice. I have with me today four gentlemen, I guess 4 gentlemen in here today, not including me, which means I'm not restricted to being a gentleman. I, like other stable geniuses, am able to act a fool every now and then, if that's indeed what I want to do, just following the model of our number, whatever he is, stable genius. On the corners, if you'll open up for me, Carlos, so people can see who we have. This is possible for you to visually enjoy what we're doing today by going to www.kcaaradio.com. You'll see that we are streaming live video. I encourage you to do that, not because these gentlemen are particularly handsome, but because I can guarantee you there's going to be something takes place that you would like to see as well as hear. We're going to spend time talking about impact, the reason for impact, and how Miss Frances Grice impacted us. And at the same time, we're going to go off a little bit and try to give you some ideas as to why it's necessary for us to work together to be successful. So I want to start off by introducing you to Mr. Maurice Roberson. He's to my far left. He's down there, that way. Maurice, how are you this morning? Get into that microphone. I'd like for you to step up a little bit and tell us your first encounter, your basic relationship with Miss Frances Grice and the Operation Second Chance. I need you a little closer to that microphone. You are a shouter, and Maurice is famous for not needing a microphone during his more active days, and he's not gone yet. So people, you'll recognize his voice. If not, I'll tell you where you can go hear him regularly. Maurice.
I met Frances during the 60s, during what we call a Watts Rebellion. She was also associated with Welfare Mother Rights Organization, along with Maxine Waters and Valerie Pope and a few other people. And from that meeting and working with Bootstrap, brother had created minority dolls, black dolls, dolls with stringy hair, dolls with bushes, all kind of situation, to encourage youth to try to emulate themselves and to be happy with themselves. So I met her during that stage, and then later on we met over and over again, and I went to work for her in 1978 after I graduated from the University of California, Riverside. She was the Black African Americans graduation guest speaker, and I believe she was the one that made sure we all had kente cloths on. And she made a remark at that graduation that I think I'll never forget.
Okay.
And that is, no matter how many degrees you got, or high up on the hill you live, you're going to be a nigger.
Okay. Well, and with that statement, you are involved and have actually coached semi-pro basketball.
No, I have coached NBA pro basketball.
Straighten me out.
And I was a Sparks WNBA floor coach.
Okay, so and the reason I bring that up is because the statement you made about, no matter who you are, how far you go, if you're a black person, chances are the world's still going to call you a nigger. I'm looking at your basketball experience. I'm going to ask you a question that you may want to think about before you answer, but there's a Mr. LeVar Ball who is thinking outside of the box, acting outside of the normal barriers, and I'm sure the subject of a lot of nigger conversation somewhere at some place.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so, but the point that I'm making, folks, and don't be offended as we brotherize here and talk a little bit. Some of you guys are going to be offended by the use of the word. I understand. Some of you are going to would be offended if we didn't use the word. I understand. So I'm not going to stand under the pressure. We're going to get above it and keep going here. Mr. LeVar Ball is inferring that, he stated that our children are being cheated as they come out of high school and look at going into playing college basketball with the goal of going into professional basketball. And he is starting a league which many people say is out of place, out of line, and that he doesn't love his children because he's making them travel around the world and making them skip high school and do the kind of things that I thought that, you normally work out pretty good for parents and stuff. Maurice, what do you think of LeVar Ball and his new basketball league. Something you want to talk about now?
I think that he's an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And he's doing the same thing that many other people who got rich did. You got to recall that when I coached in the NBA Summer Pro League, it was not owned by the NBA. It was owned by a gentleman who bought the league, and we were playing at Loyola Marymount, and then we were playing down at Brand Center. So what LeVar did is he took a situation that's unique and created a where you don't have to, if you're not interested in going to college, and you can have the abilities to come out and make money immediately, then that's what you do. I've never heard Duke's coach ever tell one of his players, don't sign, stay here with me.
Well, now, so we're looking at a couple of things here. Rebellious person who sees opportunity. We call him an entrepreneur in some cases. In other cases, if you don't like what he's doing, there's a whole list of things that you can come up with. We have another gentleman that worked with Francis Christ group, Operation Second Chance, Mr. Pink Underwood. Pink, how are you today?
Very well. How you doing?
I'm God is great. I'm grateful. I made roll call this morning.
Yes.
And, I understand what it could be like. And I have done none of the, nowhere close to accomplishing things like Miss Francis Christ. So I want to be sure that I keep on my P's and Q's and get up and keep on working, because there's things that we need to get done. Pink, you've had other accomplishments in life, but tell us what you did with Operation Second Chance.
Well, I was a paid consultant.
Okay, wait a minute. Jerry Green, my friend Jerry Green is here. Jerry, when somebody tells us that they were a paid consultant, what does that infer?
That inferred that he had valuable information to bring to the organization.
Well, no, that. And what other kind of consultants were there possibly?
Non-paid.
Non-paid.
Yeah.
So if I'm a paid consultant, and we're sitting around a table full of smart people, and I'm the paid consultant, that kind of infers that maybe my opinion is a little bit more.
Brings some value.
Very good. And as a paid consultant, Mr. Underwood, what were you there to consult on?
When I moved into the area, I retired from the Air Force. And I moved into the area, and I met Frances when she was involved with the 5 Cities program. I was employed as a paid consultant by a major corporation to try to go up and get the contract to provide the equipment for these training programs that were involved in the 5 Cities program. And that's when I met Frances and Maurice.
Okay.
And after I talked to Frances for a while, I found out that she was a lady of my heart. You see, I don't believe in non-profits. I believe in profit.
Okay.
I believe in making money.
Okay.
If you want to do something, do it to make money.
There you go.
And after I talked to Frances, I just came on back to Riverside, and I didn't even try to get the particular contract for the company. So naturally, they fired me.
Okay. All right. That makes sense for a man who
life-changing.
Man who says the man who leaves the office talking about how important it is to get some money. He goes to the meeting, and all of a sudden he's not worried about getting money anymore. Right. It is so they fired you. Yeah.
And they fired me.
And how did you feel about the firing?
And
you felt it was fair?
No, I didn't. I didn't really care.
Okay.
Because I had confidence in myself that I could find something else to do.
Okay.
So I got involved with the small business office at Cal Poly Pomona, where I had gone to college. And under their leadership, I became adept at doing marketing surveys. And then you
said marketing surveys reminded me that I was blowing past a commercial. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. I've got a group of men this morning who are discussing the relationship between being inspired and being motivated, and that memory of Miss Frances Grice, who was the founder of Operation Second Chance, a member of the welfare mothers who fought for equal access to schools in San Bernardino, filed a lawsuit that had impact all over the country, created an organization that influenced the lives of hundreds of people here in the Inland Empire. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we'll continue our conversation. We're going to talk when we come back with Mr. Pink Underwood, who's giving us the importance of being able to see a means of making $1 out of 15 cents. We'll be back right after this break.
You made your choice. Now it's up to me to bow out gracefully.
Falling down the stairs and breaking your ankle doesn't sound good. But falling down the stairs and breaking your ankle with no health insurance sounds even worse. Life can change in an instant. Be covered when it does. At Covered California, we can help you get financial help to pay for your health plan. Covered California. It's more than just health care. It's life care. Visit CoveredCA.com today. Open enrollment ends January 31st.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
Here we go. All right. On my way. Well, I'd sing to you guys, but I don't want to chase you away. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. We have a great panel today to discuss the impact of Ms. Frances Grice, her Operation Second Chance, her involvement with government from local to federal. We've got Mr. Adrian Dove is supposed to call in and tell us about the time Frances would not leave the vice president's office after she was introduced without coming out of that office with a deal and a plan. We're speaking with Mr. Pink Underwood prior to the break. Pink is telling us a little bit about how he first met Frances. And Pink, once you got on board with Operation Second Chance, what was your role?
Well, I found out that Operation Second Chance had a complete economic package. If you came with an idea, what we would do is she and Wesley Jefferson would do a package, loan package, whatever you need, grant, whatever. But they found out that they was wasting a lot of time with a lot of people. So they brought me on board to take your idea and see did it make economic sense.
Okay, it's the feasibility study.
Feasibility study. And if it didn't, that was the end of it. Okay.
And if it did?
Okay, then they would go into the economics of it. I would prepare a pro forma income statement to show the income projections, expense projections, to do all the things that people need to do if they're going to go into business. You see, what you need to do if you're going to go into business, you need to find out how much it's going to cost you to stop working. Because most of the time, people go into business and they be out of business in 5 years, the money's gone. And so what I was there for, to try to keep people from wasting their life savings and just throwing away their money because the idea they had
kept them up at night, right, as opposed to being one that was that was economically feasible. So as we make this statement, how many grants and businesses do you remember helping get started?
Wow, lots of them. But the one that I remember most was she put a guy in business down at Marina Del Rey. He's still there, and we put him in business. And his business was to sell meals to airlines.
And he's still there?
He's still there. Yes.
Still making money?
Well, he's still there.
Is he still got that business?
Yes.
Okay. Well, no, I'm serious because we're here.
there.
We're here for a lot of things. Having fun and entertainment is one of them.
And
but reclaiming our status, position, and resources is the other. If Francis and the Inland Empire helped this young man at that time get started, he's a little older. He's run into some walls. He's some issues. He may be ready to help us again.
Well, he did. What he did was he took, as he prepared the food for the airlines, he would have some food left over, meat left over. Mm-hmm. He would grind it into hamburger meat. He would sell it to members of the fraternity at a reduced rate.
Uh-huh.
And they would take it into the African American communities and make quality food available.
That's really nice.
Yes.
That's really nice. Hang on a minute while I take my violin and play a nice little tune to how nice that is when people that we help make money turn around and show us how we can help them get a write-off. Isn't that nice? Now y'all ready to use the N-word on me again because I'm not happy about it at all. And Mr. Pink, now that we think about it, that was a good deal for him and a good deal for that. But like you said in the beginning, you like to make money. If I just help you make and put yourself in a solid position where you can make some millions, a thank you in the mail is fine. A little gift dropped by the office is fine. But I'd like to see you figure out a way to help me make some money for my grandbabies or somebody. If this is about making money, my question, in your job of analyzing what businesses were good and what weren't, if Mr. LeVar Ball had come to you guys then, or came to you now and we were set up now, do you think that his endeavor to set up a basketball league is viable? Is that feasible? Are you a basketball person?
Yes, but my personal opinion,
yeah, that's the only one I want to know.
He did it wrong and he won't last.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, why did he do it wrong? Has this got something to do with the N-word?
No, it has to do with belligerence.
The N-word. Okay, go ahead.
If you go into business, the first thing,
more belligerent than Donald Trump. But anyway, go ahead.
The first thing you need to do is don't get your potential market angry, because they're not going to get over it.
Okay, very good. We're going to talk about that later because that's a legitimate thing to be discussing. Your interpretation of his market right now, I think his market is probably people who own teams that are not doing well and don't figure out how to have an audience, because that's the number one thing he's bringing is an audience. But see what your opinion was asked and it was given and is very well respected. I appreciate that, because I want to go forward and bring up another issue Mr. Green and I have discussed, as well as Jelani here. You guys were set up in that day to receive packages, to receive people's ideas and to do something about them. What do you think is the condition of ideas and vision now, in terms of if someone were to show up with the billions of dollars and say, okay, let's develop the Inland Empire? I mean, are we ready? Are there things that you can see, things that you're thinking of that would help us out? Things that are as enjoyable and exciting as our friend Mr. Anthony Garcia, the Mood Master, playing this nice little music behind us. What are some of the ideas? What kind of shape are we in as we look forward to the future based on the ideas and access to money? Jelani, would you give us your opinion on that?
First and foremost,
and this is a man who's involved with the Sister City program. He's got an international footprint, both in reality and virtually. So, and your Sister City program is about culture, and it's also
development.
It costs money to make it happen.
First and foremost, give my love to Francis Grice for being the shoulders that we were able to stand on, especially as a young man trying to figure out how can I help the community. When you got with Miss Grice, all she did was give a little cheek smile and put you to work. So much blessings, and to her family and to the community of support, much blessings. And that question you asked?
In terms of our vision, our potential future, what are we prepared to do to grab the resources to make ourselves go forward?
Right now, if I was thinking of a person immediately, I would think of an individual like T.A.J. Eldridge, who University of California, not just UC Riverside, but the University of California has provided him with funds and a program called Excite. And that Excite program looks for entrepreneurs, looks for people who have an idea, and he can fund them from the idea all the way up to the marketing, purchasing, bidding, buying. Everything is set up. How it's done now is very similar to how it was done in the past. You need a plan, you need a program, and you need to keep following. Who do you want? Who are you marketing to? You need a very close knit group at the beginning in order to transmit that idea into reality. And it's not as easy, but if I was going to jump and start in, I would go with Taj Eldridge and his Excite community, which is all over the country.
Would you do us the production favor and please reach out to him and see how soon we can get him on Empire Talks Back?
That I will do.
Very good. Now let's get back to you, Maurice. The idea being, as Jelani so eloquently put it, access to resources. How do you get access to resources? I'm not sure how the Excite program was put together, but in your experience, Maurice, when Frances needed resources, what would she do? Did she kind of sit around and write a plan and procrastinate, or was she a get on the airplane lady and make things happen?
No, Frances.
We're going to take that short break. We're going to take a short break, Maurice, and when we come back, I'd like for you to help us get a better idea of the power of Frances Grice, to leverage the way she made things happen. I know one of the things she would do would be blink them big green eyes at you, while she was preparing whatever other weapon of choice that was necessary to make things happen. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. We're having a great morning discussing Ms. Frances Grice, how she impacted us through her living, and how we are continuing to exemplify some of the lessons that she gave us. We'll be right back after this short break.
You may not have a car at all.
Falling down the stairs and breaking your ankle doesn't sound good. But falling down the stairs and breaking your ankle with no health insurance sounds even worse. Life can change in an instant. Be covered when it does. At Covered California, we can help you get financial help to pay for your health plan. Covered California. It's more than just health care. It's life care. Visit CoveredCA.com today. Open enrollment ends January 31st.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
Diamond in the back, sunroof top, big in the scene with a gangster lean.
Okay, everybody who heard us last week is thinking, oh, Wallace is going to try to sing the Gangsta Lean song. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I am familiar with it. I helped it become a one-hit wonder. I danced to it several times. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm here with some very fine gentlemen who are great memories of working with Frances Grice, and well, in the case of a couple of us, Jerry's a young man. He didn't get a chance to work with her, but the work that he's done is a reflection of what she thought was important with your Black Business Expo, for instance. She was very involved in getting businesses contracts, not just a picture in the paper like I can do. She got them contracts that allowed people to get jobs, and how she did that was probably the special Frances Grice formula. I'm not sure of how she did all of it. Maurice, you were there during much of what she did. Matter of fact, I know you were part of her closer group.
Well, let me just say, there are two situations I can recall right off the top. One, I don't know if you've ever done a cable television bid show. She brought in the Motown Review into Riverside, and they were on TV, and she asked for contracts for the businessmen and businesswomen in the community. So they would call in and say what they needed to do, what they needed to have done. Then she would have a contractor right there meeting up with that person, and then they would close it. But the most important one I can recall is Martin Marietta. Martin Marietta had a deal with the United States government to do 4 or 5 solar projects. Each one were approximately $122 million. So Frances had, since she was a business development officer, she had the bid process for the Solar Daggett project. So she looked at it and she reread it and had me reread it, and then she started from the last pages and read forward and found that they were going to give the whole project to Department of Water and Power in LA. So Frances asked to meet with Rosemead, okay, at Southern California.
Edison. Mm-hmm.
So we went down to meet with them. Martin Marietta brought their attorneys in, and just so happened one of them was Black African American. So as I stood up to present a social philosophy for businesses in the community, he attacked me and said that they're business, they're not interested in social philosophies. And at that point, Frances said her leg hurt, and that, you know,
So the man threw up that big magic resistance blanket.
So
Frances recognized it for what it was.
Yeah.
And being a basketball coach, have you ever told your players to fake an injury so we could get a timeout?
Yeah, let's go.
So Frances faked the injury to get a timeout.
So what happened is we told them that we would get back with them, and on the way downstairs, Frances had Keith Lee call everybody we knew. So she probably had about 10 congressmen and 8 senators on the phone that night. So a couple of weeks later, Martin Marietta went to get their appropriations committee, to the appropriations committee to get their money. And they said that something was wrong. They had a problem.
The appropriations committee let them know that Martin Marietta had a problem.
Yes. And to call this number. And it was Operation Second Chance. So what happened is that wasn't any hassling. The guy just told Frances, we cut out $25 million, do with it what you want, within the scope of the work.
Mm-hmm. So that meant that
she made a millionaire out of a guy over in Pomona to do the pedestals that held the mirror at Solar Daggett.
Right.
So he became a millionaire. Yes.
So let's be clear for folks again here. He didn't give Frances $25 million that she put in her pocket.
No.
He gave her responsibility of placing $25 million of contracts
in business people.
Into the people that she was saying were not being fairly given an opportunity to do business.
Right.
Fair contract. She read. Boy, you said she read the RFP from the beginning to the end.
Right.
Then had her staff read the RFP from the beginning to the end.
Right.
And then you started reading it from the end to the beginning.
Right.
And that's when the clarification tended to come out.
Right.
Just a little bit to help us see the thoroughness that this woman went through. Now, we're talking about a woman who arrived in San Bernardino from
Detroit.
Basically,
Projects.
a project lady, a person who lived in the projects, a person who loved her children and yours
Right.
and mine too. She was involved in, at the time, like she says in an interview, if you guys will go to West Side Story newspaper website, we have a video of her, of an interview that was done by the cable company. She speaks of the time when she walked down the streets of San Bernardino and encountered Ku Klux Klan in full regalia.
Right.
Using that to demonstrate the attitude not just of the Ku Klux Klan, but of those folks who were actually behind the mask in their everyday life, many of them involved with the school system. We had riots in the schools because black children were involved in going to school where it had been basically lily white. Folks, as we approach this Martin Luther King week, as we approach Black History Month, many of us, the black community, unlike the Jewish community, does not relish describing the slave involvement period, the enslavement period, doesn't relish the idea of Soulville, doesn't relish the idea that, hey, you know, black folks can really do good music, they can really do good food, they can really do every damn thing, but there's some things we run away from. Economic empowerment is one of those things. We do not grab hold of our community, Soulville or Black Street, like Koreatown or Chinatown, or those places that, those other cultures that, well, I guess they weren't beat up. Their culture wasn't driven into the ground for 300 years. They didn't have a promotion program that said the people were inferior, not human beings, and a program that still echoes today in the form of Jim Crow. The whole, yes, and you can speak in at any time. Gentlemen,
Yes,
go ahead.
I wanted to say something about the subject you're on in Francis. We were attending an economic conference, and we sat there through speaker after speaker getting up and talking about economic development for this with the city of Riverside. And when we started the second half, Frances took the floor. And she said, I'm going to introduce you to somebody that you won't like what he's going to say, but I would appreciate it if you would listen. And she said, he's going to explain to you the difference between today's black community and yesterday's black community. And she introduced me. And when I started talking, the first thing I told them was that economic development was not something you talk about, it was something you do.
Okay.
And
That's right.
also Francis has said, your next speaker is the only guy in this room, only person in this room that don't depend on the city of Riverside for his living.
Oh.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, and I didn't, you know. And so I tried to explain that the city of Riverside was already developed. You know, we had nothing to do with that. That we have to come together as a group, as a mindset, and come up with our own economic program and plug into the system.
Mm-hmm.
And after I finished talking, the guy from the economic professor from UCR, he got up and told him that if I had told you guys what he just got through telling you, you would never invite me back to anything.
Yep.
Okay.
Because I told him the truth.
Okay. And the idea, Jerry, go ahead.
I think several things. Many times when you go to government meetings, many of them are employees. So they just there being yes men and things like that. I think that with the question you asked, and I'm bringing it all together, about LeVar Ball and what Jelani said about Taj, is that part of that program was funded from the Sacramento Kings owner.
Oh.
So that's how you have the technology and the sports and the business community coming together. And again, many times that I go to meetings and I see other people, it's employees. So they just there, yes, 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 yes. And then you ask a question and they're like, oh, I never thought about that. Because you get a check. You don't have to think like an entrepreneur.
Well, the other thing is that at 5 minutes to 5, they're wrapping up.
Yeah.
And you probably ready now to start really talking to them because you can't do any business anymore. So now we can really get down to fixing things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always wonder about government and anybody who closes their office at 5 o'clock. I mean, are you trying to get business done? I mean, 5 o'clock?
I mean, that, and then you look at, you say, okay, if you're really talking about doing work and bridging community, then you got to be there in evenings and the weekend when people are at home. You can't be out there in the community Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like we're talking about, and talk about, oh, we're doing work in the community. No, that's not when the people are out there doing the work.
But getting into the idea of what are good ideas, who do we present them to, and how do we get support for the ideas? Now, we have an issue with ice. You know, some ice is colder than other ice, as far as some people are concerned. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen, and I would just, we are going to question the concept of who's got the coldest ice when we come back right after this short break. You don't think, you think I'm kidding.
Falling down the stairs and breaking your ankle doesn't sound good. But falling down the stairs and breaking your ankle with no health insurance sounds even worse. Life can change in an instant. Be covered when it does. At Covered California, we can help you get financial help to pay for your health plan. Covered California. It's more than just health care. It's life care. Visit CoveredCA.com today. Open enrollment ends January 31st.
Publish your legal notice in Westside Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. Westside Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call Westside Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen, and you won't believe it, I am the oldest person at the stage. Well,
No, you're not.
but I wanted to demonstrate some of the stability of a genius, so I just made a genius statement that, you know, takes a genius to understand.
Yeah.
So evidently I'm the only genius up in here because you guys not agreeing with me. I'll have my my attorney general talk to you guys as you leave. See if we can straighten you out. Gentlemen, we are here. Pink, you stated during the break that, man, you know, change is definitely occurring, but sometimes it just seems that it's going, you know, counterclockwise as opposed to clockwise. I would venture, and I'm wondering, and I wish that we did have some of our young teenage people here and get an idea of, you know, how do they look to the future? What do they think about the future? I know that I'm not hearing a lot about them not wanting to participate. I think they're, you know, as we go back and look at our teenage years, some of the wildness. Don't tell me you aren't wild because you told me you're fraternity men. So I know. They don't tell me you're uneducated because you didn't get to be in a fraternity by not going to college and joining one. So we've got some intelligent, wildly experienced gentlemen here. And your wildness when you were young, is there a tendency on our part to deny other young people the right to be wild and crazy and come up with new ideas and be adventurous?
No, I don't think so. I think the problem is is that we're the problem.
Okay.
The adults.
Okay. Well, the older adults.
Us. We let them do what they
Y'all.
do.
Okay.
See, now my children, and I had 5 boys, and I made them understand that I don't care what they was told at school and playground, that they were accountable to me. So none of my kids ever been in drugs, smoking, drinking with the law.
One of the words that we learned, and I'm sure you gentlemen understand that this word too. What is it called? Deference.
Yes.
Deference. Could I get a quick definition of deference? It's the appearance of respect. Extremely important, because if whether you know when the police pull you over, whether you respect them or not, it's a pretty good idea to act like you do. And parents who really do a good job of their children teach deference, whether they teach it overtly or covertly.
Well, say, or I remember Mom used to say, at least act like you got some sense.
Act like you got some sense. And so, so what you and I know is that if your young men, my sons too, grew up and didn't cause a lot of waves and trouble in society, in a society that is targeting them, that they have demonstrated some unique evidences of deference, because they've heard a lot of mess that they knew wasn't true, and they nodded their head and moved on down the line. In both cases, sometimes even exhibiting, they come home from the weekend event, and mom and dad say, "How things go?" And we look at them, and they say everything was cool. Well, we see them there, they're there, they made it home, they must be cool. Now, some parents get a little deeper. Well, no, I mean, what happened over the weekend? And that's when, and more, and you may find that they just escaped something that would have so making it and getting to a certain point is really critical. But once we see that we can make it and get to these points, what's the obligation? When we talk, as we talk with the honor and respect that we have for Frances Grice, a woman that we know was a field marshal, at the same time she was a soldier, a woman who was able to put together the plan as well as find the people to help follow through with the plan. This woman passed last week. We have gathered here at this table to demonstrate respect for her, but at the bedside, at the point of what is she concerned about before she goes, what is it that we can do to show honor for a person of her stature while she's alive? That becomes also one of our quests. We can't, I couldn't call her 2 weeks ago and say, "Frances, we're probably next week, maybe you won't be here, and we'd like to get, we can't tell. But we can tell how valuable people have been in our community, and we need to not wait until they're gone to demonstrate our love for what they've been doing. I don't know how to do that. If you've got any ideas, I'd like to hear them.
Well, I have an idea. Okay, first of all, what I've learned, and this is strictly my opinion, what I've learned since I've been in the area is that most people don't understand that things change. Before, when you say black community, you could point to a geographic
Stay close
location.
to your mic there, please.
Yeah, you could point to a geographic location.
A neighborhood.
A neighborhood.
The West Side.
You can't do that anymore.
No.
This is a station, black people sitting there talking, and this is not a black community. This is not a black community.
Right.
So the black community nowadays, in my opinion, is a state of mind. And you have to get people together with the same mindset. We are not critical enough of one another when they step out of line.
Accountability.
That's right. We don't hold them accountable.
Can't criticize them.
You better not. If you criticize them, the whole community is going to come down on your head. Now, I know what Maurice Roberson did for the Inland Empire. When we first came here, I was in the Air Force. I came out to teach school at the Air Force Base. Me and a friend came to Riverside to go swimming. And I found out that we couldn't go swimming except for on Thursday.
And they were going to empty the
because
pool
they were empty
on
pool
Friday.
on Friday.
They done nothing.
Maurice got that changed. And we won't give credit to people when they do things
Maurice.
if we are supportive of the status quo.
Maurice, you were instrumental in changing a policy about access for black folks to be at the swimming pools in Riverside.
And Blythe too.
And
It's real hot.
say, everywhere you saw it going on.
Right.
What was involved in that? I mean, it was
They
a
had a battle. Some kids had a battle outside the swimming pool with Coca-Cola bottles. And they broke off in the pool, so couldn't nobody use it.
so.
They cleaned it up, and then everybody used it.
Well, now some people may want to talk with us and Maurice a little bit to get a bit more detail on that particular project. But this is how some people feel about the electorate, the 216 electorate for the presidency. That some people felt like if the pool wasn't going to be the way they wanted it, they just assumed fill it with broken glass. Oh, Mr. Garcia woke up and said something over here. But yeah, no, the Steve Bannon, the whole concept was we got to tear it up before we can make it work.
All right.
And Mr. Trump rode that horse in, and I don't know, they may eat that horse before he goes out. But geniuses sometimes like horse meat. But the point that we're making here is that when we see problems, we can either run away from them or we can try to describe them and get with it and make something happen of a positive sense. As we approach, and we're in 2018 now, Jerry, what's the most significant thing that you think has to happen in 2018?
I think that we need to come with a local, regional, and a national agenda. That's one target. What happened with the Obama administration and the black community, to me, is that the Hispanic and LGBT had a national agenda which they could always put in front of the president, so he had to address it. If you ask our community what's the most thing or the biggest importance or what needs to happen, we got 8 to 10 different things. So we need to come something with a target that we all can aim for, and I think that's it.
I second that motion.
Okay, and Jelani, what's your attitude about the future here?
Yeah, I think the future is in unity, is in coalition building, and as Jerry said, having an agenda, but ensuring that agenda can't be broken.
Maurice, what do you think?
See, I think everything depends on what's upstairs. Malcolm X say we left our mind in Africa. I say that we need to work with our young people.
Okay.
Toastmasters has a youth program, and I can recall that we had a youth program, and we had the youth send letters to the mayor. We had youth present speeches on different issues. And
let me jump on that horse with you. So what I hear is that it's important that our youth, that we be involved with our youth, pushing them forward with education.
Right.
And as we know that in America, education has to evolve around making $1 out of 15 cents. So if we had to condense the goal right now, it would be to educate our children as to how to understand capitalism and at the same time relate and maintain the compassion necessary for community. So pushing a plan, creating.
And when I came back and I went to Black Wall Street in Tulsa in the Greenwood area,
we're in that last moment of time here where we want to involve people and make them understand again that black is not a color, it's an attitude and a feeling, and that as such, when we talk about black people, we're not talking about people whose skin is necessarily melanin based and dark as black folk. We're talking about welcoming the same group of people who understand that when the world is described in black and white is the one that has all the might, that it's important then that we do something to even things out, balance things out, and the only way to do that is to move some of the power from white over to black. And that's the attitude. And that means capitalism, hardcore, making money every minute is great, as long as we've got on the other end of that some compassion that says old people, poor people, minority people are brains that can help make us work, and we need to keep those brains alive even if they don't have a job, even if they don't have a money as their base. We've got to make room and include it. We all say it, you know, God this, God that. We may use a different word for him. We may use a different title for him. Even the people who don't believe in God believe in not having God so much that it becomes their God. We're all here under the same auspices. We all need to be here doing something that's going to support ourselves through each other. We'll be here under two circumstances next week. One, if the good Lord's willing.
And what's number two?
Two, if the creek don't rise. God bless you. We can never get finished, but we can always get started. We'll be back and get started again next week. See you guys. Appreciate you very much for being here. Thank you.